Honorable mentions for biggest winners in DFW. These are cities that just missed out on making the top 5 biggest winners in my opinion, based on the numbers from 2020. Number 1, just missing out, is Murphy. Murphy had an increase in 20% number of sales while maintaining an increase average sales price of 8.5%. So across the board, prices went up 8.5%, and still went from about 35 days down to 28 days, average days on market for Murphy. Next is going to be Mansfield. Mansfield's been hot for about 5 or 6 years now, blowing up like crazy. It's like the South Frisco. And Mansfield had an increased average price of 9% to about 336, 337. Oh my gosh, they've come so far in the last, like I said, half decade. And inventory though, 1.2 months. Great for sellers, awful for buyers. So good luck buying a house in Mansfield. University Park, rounding out my honorable mentions. They had a decrease in sales, but it's a community where the average price point went up 12% to 1.65 million. That's an enormous number for DFW. That's the top 1% of houses that are sold. And to have a community like that where they had an increase in 12% in average price point is astounding. They were also my biggest winner last year and the year before. So University Park is trending upward in an enormous way. Highland Park ISD being there, also centrally located in Dallas, proximity huge, and not Highland Park, which carries an average price point of about 2.2. So that rounds out my honorable mentions, and we'll look and see who made the top 5. Coming in at number 5 is the city of Keller. Keller had an increase in sales about 4%, so a modest increase in sales, which is good. But really, Keller carrying almost a $500,000 average price point, and to have an increase in sales 9%, that is huge. And so having that increase of 9% in their sales, average sales price across the board, and then maintaining 32 days on market, which is a huge improvement from what they have been, Keller comes in at number 5. Good job. Number 4 is Flower Mound, FloMo. Flower Mound had an increase in sales, kind of like Keller, modest 3%. But again, that's carrying a sales volume of 1,200 units. So not 400 or 500 units, but 1,200 units, and having an increase in sales is huge. But with an increase in number of sales, sometimes price goes down. Not in this case. Flower Mound had an increased average sales price of 8.5%. That is enormous. So Flower Mound really stepping up their game. And cherry on top, they broke the 30-day on market barrier. They come in at 29 days on market. So increased average sales price of 8.5%, plus that 29 days on market makes Flower Mound a huge winner in 2020, and something to look forward to for them in 2021, carrying that momentum. Number 3.
Pick number 3, my lord.
Plano, plain old Plano. Plano was actually one of my big losers a couple years ago, and told them to get their act together. It looked like they did. Plano loves me, apparently. Listens to me. But Plano had number of sales increase 8.5%. So not only do they have an increase in sales 8.5%, they're carrying almost 3,300 units. And to have an increase that big number of sales just tells you how popular Plano has become. There's several reasons for that. We can get into that in another video. But Plano, increase in sales 8.5%. Also having an increase in average sales price 9.7%. So they increased their sales 8.5%. They increased their average price point 9.7%. They went from, cheat sheet, 380 as an average price point to 416. That is huge for Plano. Also, Plano is carrying about a 36 average days on market. So average days on market 36, increase in average sales price to about 415, 416, and sales through the roof. Congratulations, Plano. You're number 3 on my list of biggest winners. Number 2, McKinney, Oklahoma. No, I'm just kidding. McKinney's just so far up there for us Tarrant County and Dallas folk. Anyway, McKinney, number of sales increased 17%. 17%, McKinney, number of sales increased. Now, these are all resale numbers that I'm giving you. So McKinney, who's competing, the resale people are competing a lot with the new build people. McKinney still had a 17% increase in number of resale sales to just over 3,500 units. That is astounding. So to have that amount of sales increase in that competitive of a market, new build market especially, that's huge. Also, McKinney's average price point jumped up 9% to boot, and they're maintaining about 35 days on market. So McKinney, strong, rock solid number 2 in my DFW's biggest winners. Number 1, can you guess it? Of course you can't. Nobody can. The Colony. The Colony comes in as my number 1 biggest winner in DFW for 2020, and here's why. They had double-digit percentage increases across the board. The Colony had an increase in average price point of 12%, so basically 1% a month for all of 2020. They also had an increase in number of sales, 13%. So to have these massive increases in numbers is so beyond noteworthy, and to carry what they did for days on market, which is under 30 days, the Colony was just a grand slam. If you bought a house there at the beginning of 2020, heck, if you bought in the middle of 2020, you probably still could have a huge equity increase depending on where you bought. But the Colony, so strong. They completely crushed it out of the park, like I said. So that rounds out my biggest winners. Look forward to my biggest losers video. But guys, thanks again for watching. I appreciate all the support that I've gotten from my videos, and hope this brought you a little bit of joy to your day and educated you on just what's going on in the market.